that we just have to use our own guidance, instead of just following one certain path. Not that that's wrong. It's always about healing. Is always about the intention, and there is no right or wrong. But every person is different, and we have to fine tune to each person. As we're scanning the body and we remove all the things, we'll start seeing the energy flow. We start seeing beautiful, vibrant colors just glowing everywhere, flowing. You can see the connection to the earth. You can see the connection from the divine. You can see the energy emanating from the heart center. And once that begins to happen, that means the person's energy is clear. So we can do one last scan. We can say a prayer for any additional healing that needs to occur, or we can ask the person, the patient, if there's anything else that's bothering them. A lot of times on the physical level, there will be like a stagnant energy or some sort of ailment that could also be helped. And we use our divine guidance with that as well. We ask internally, what can I do to help alleviate this within the person? And always envision the person healthy. You'd never want to set it in their mind that there's something wrong with them, that they're ill, that they're sick, that they have something that needs fixing. It's always envision them truly healthy, connected with the divine, because that creates that reality, and that can also imprint that within the person's energy field. So on a subconscious, on an energy field level, it will start working in their benefit. Once all the energy is cleared, any blockages are cleared, you can ask for DNA activations and downloads for the patients. You can connect them to their place of origins from a galactic perspective and from a multi-dimensional perspective. And you can ground that person into where they're originally from, because a lot of us are used to grounding to the earth plane, and we also have homes in many different places, so we can connect the person with their true source of origin. And from there we can ask their soul family, their guides, their galactic family to help them to activate, to see certain things, to download. You can start seeing light codes streaming through your hands, surrounding the person, going directly where needed. And you can also start channeling, intoning light language. In other places it's called speaking in tongues. And that all has activating properties that, if coming from a pure place, will truly help heal that person. You have to use your guidance to determine when to stop the healing. Most people prefer longer healing. Sometimes there's a lot of work that has to be done, but others prefer somewhat impatient. So you have to be mindful of that, because if the person is kind of struggling or fighting internal dissonance on the table, you want to honor that and schedule another appointment, or you want the person to be as comfortable as possible. The last step of the healing process is setting up, and probably the most important step, is setting up protection around the person. There's many different ways that can be done. We can draw the 4 major Reiki symbols around the person. We can draw them around in a spherical fashion or in all four directions around the person. You can create a sphere of white or golden light around the person. It's just glowing, and it's just protecting them from any sort of energy that is not conducive for their greatest evolution or their greatest and highest good. You can envision all the colors of the rainbow, and they can be used simultaneously around the person. You can just put layer on top of layer on top of layer, or you can envision them individually. Some certain people need a specific color, like say they're having problems with the root chakra. You want to envision a red color so that it's more grounding for the person, or for the crown chakra, you want the color violet. You can create a spinning Merkaba around the person, which is the logo of Lumina Spiritual Center. And it's also it's basically the blueprint of our energy body, and the shape itself is two triangles spinning. The top triangle is spinning in a clockwise direction, and that represents the male energy. The bottom triangle is spinning in the counterclockwise direction. That represents the female energy. And you can envision it just glowing as bright as possible around the person. And any sort of things, entities, any sort of stagnant energies that are there will immediately just dissipate. And you can also infuse the Merkaba with light language, light codes for protection. You can create a healing pyramid around each person. You can allow your guidance to channel specific protections. You can see like specific crystal formations around the person, around each cell of their body. You can draw the Merkaba. One of my favorite protections that I like to use is envisioning a pyramid around the person filled with violet light, and then enveloping the initial pyramid with two more pyramids, one facing up and one facing down, and then create another pyramid around those, so it's like layering layers of protection. And then you envision another set of double pyramids, one facing down, one facing up, and then another pyramid of violet light, and then another set of up and down facing pyramids. And around those you can envision a sphere of violet light. You can do 3 spheres of violet light, 3 spheres of silver light, 3 spheres of golden light. And then on top of all those layers, you can actually use the color black as protection so that you're not visible to the outside, to any sort of energy intrusions or any sort of energy attacks. It's a very powerful technique because it basically protects us from certain individuals are targeted, and there's a lot of things going on, both in the spiritual and in the astral realms. So in both our 3D lives and in the spiritual realm, there's a lot of things that can attack us. So cloaking in that way, using the color black, can actually help us become invisible to any sort of attack. And I actually found that out. I was at this Tao seminar, and they had us do like a 5-minute presentation, and I would notice people getting nervous, so I wanted to, this was before I like consciously did healing, but something, my soul guided me, and just, I wanted to take away their anxiety, their fears, so I just did that, I envisioned myself pulling out their anxiety, pulling out their fears, and sending them love, and I would just see their behavior change. And at the time I thought it was all in my head. But after that day, or after that introduction period, somebody came up to me with a sheet of paper that had drawn on it 2 stick figures. One of them was me, one of them was her, and a stream of light coming from me to her. And on the note it said, "Thank you for your healing energy. I felt it. I'll send you." And she described the colors. It was like golden, and it was surrounded by, she said there was a layer of black surrounding it. And now I know that that was actually my protection from intrusions. And she said that she was sending me, on the sheet, it said that she was sending me green, loving energy back towards me. And there's just confirmations like that keep like building your faith, and you see like everything, you see that this is all real, and this is like how we can live, and we can always be mindful, and magic is real, and we can live in true synchronicity.
That's beautiful.
That's my next topic, living in synchronicity. So living in synchronicity, that's really a consequence of the I am presence being in alignment with the soul. And we are both the soul and the I am presence. And what that means is that we have fully integrated our ego and all aspects of our human self. We have healed, integrated, and aligned those with our soul's purpose. So our soul is very wise, it knows, it has a ton of experiences. And before we came down to earth, we created a blueprint, a general outline of how our lives are going to go, what kind of experiences we'll go through. And we kind of forgot that upon birth. That's part of you can say that's a part of the system of control, the grid, but it's also part of the bigger plan to forget, to go through the great forgetting. And that can also be transformed into seeing this experience as something beautiful, because we don't remember our every single experience. We think we're separate, but we get to rediscover that we're all one, and we get to co-create in joy. So in order to achieve that oneness with the soul, we have to live in accordance with the divine laws. That was last week's lecture with Amelia, and I think he did a fantastic job exemplifying the laws. One of the main laws is oneness. And before doing anything, ask if the action or thought is for everyone's greatest good. So good in this case, that's beyond polarity. You recognize that there is a positive and a negative aspect to everything. We became aware of the sacred neutral that's within us. And we have realized that we are in service to the collective. Once we're in service to the collective, we're also in service to ourselves. It can take some time, it can take a lifetime or many lifetimes to realize that. But once we work towards the greatest good, once we work towards healing ourselves and aligning with that oneness aspect of our souls as a part of Spirit, as a part of Prime Creator, then we're able to align our human aspects with that oneness in every action, every thought, every word that we have that comes out of our mouth will be divinely guided, can change people's lives. A part of the process of becoming one with the soul is to heal and release traumas within the body and the energy field. We just talked about that, some of the basic techniques that you can use to do that. So as a part of the human experience, we all experience the negative polarity, obviously. There's unhealed wounds from the past, childhood traumas that can cloud our judgment. Those childhood traumas could then be traced to past lives. They're just the physical, mental, emotional representation in this life. So we have to begin the process of healing and removing those traumas, sending healing throughout time and space. You can send healing to yourself while you're going through a difficult situation, and that can help transform some of that energy, because everything is stored within our energy field. So if we don't remove those wounds, those traumas, other people can sense that and we can imprint that on them. So we have to be very mindful of what we carry within ourselves, and we have to be fully healed so that we're truly emanating the love that we think we're emanating. Otherwise, you might be sending love to somebody, but to them it's just like, oh, get this energy off me. It might be have a whole bunch of attachment to it, or a whole bunch of cords. And that goes along with purification and integration of the ego. In Taoist traditions, I was part of a Tao temple for years, and it was quite an amazing experience. I've learned a lot, witnessed miraculous healings, energy exchange in there. And in the Tao tradition, they speak of the Tao heart, which is the pure expression of the soul. Our human ego is clouded by third-dimensional programming, things that you've picked up along the way from school, things that you've picked up from the media, from parents, from so many different sources. And we spoke earlier about being aware and cognizant of that programming and transforming it. So we have to be aware of what's coming from us, from our heart, from the soul, and what's coming from that programming. And once we're aware of that, you can literally pull entire energy models, behavior models out of people and just throw them out. You can fill the space up with light, and you can set up a protection around it so it doesn't come back. Sometimes it does take a little more than just one take, That's why I believe that everybody should be a healer. Everybody should be their own healer, so that for one, we don't have to rely on others, but also so that we can keep doing the work, we can keep pulling things out, and aligning with our soul purpose. So certain aspects of ourselves we do not like and must be brought into awareness and must be accepted. A lot of people that have went through an awakening they'll see who they were, they'll see certain aspects of themselves, and they'll be like, oh, that was the old me, that's not me anymore. Well, in an energetic aspect, it still is you, so you can send healing, love, and acceptance to those places and times, and you can transform that into alignment with your soul. Only in love and acceptance can we truly let go of habit patterns which are not in alignment. Another aspect of living in accordance with our divine purpose and synchronicity is being authentic, being honest with ourselves and others, and honesty allows us to embody our true selves. All the illusions of the mind and who we perceive ourselves to be, or who we want to be perceived as, must become aligned with the objective reality and the truth of our being. So you can't hide things from God, Spirit. Like you can hide things from people, but eventually they'll probably find out. You have to be truly honest to be doing this work, because that's what allows ourselves to see a true representation of our frequency, and in being honest we can heal those wounds, and once our frequency is cleared, then we can attract those things into our lives, the experiences that we do want. Once our frequency, all our energy bodies, our physical bodies cleared, that's when miracles start happening, that's when we start living in full synchronicity, that's when you can just ask and you shall receive. So most divine beings, they can be around you, they can help you, but you have to ask for that help. You have to specifically ask the universe for what you want to create and what you desire to create. In order to do that, you have to be in tune with your inner self, and you have to know what you truly desire, what your soul desires, and what the programming desires. Once you're in tune with what your soul desires, that's when those things come into alignment. And sure, you can manifest anything. Like you can manifest, any desire that you wish, but that's not something that, if it's not something that's in alignment with your soul, in alignment with your greatest and highest good, then it would just become undone, and there's just no space for doing that. If you want to be a healer, you have to be aligned with your purpose. So every morning when you first wake up, you can perform a daily ceremony. You can ask for every thought, word, and action to create the highest potential for yourself and for others. What is truly in our best interest is also in the best interest for the collective. And ask to live in the universal divine flow. Do not rush. Nature never rushes and yet manages to get everything accomplished. The more in alignment we are with our soul and our spirit, the more powerful our prayers and intent become. The universe is built upon an intelligent, self-correcting algorithm. So if we're not in alignment with the divine, all of our creations will eventually diminish, and our power to create will diminish as well. But if we are consciously co-creating with the whole, with the collective, then everything in our lives will line up in full synchronicity, and we'll just live from one miracle to the next miracle to the next miracle, and our perception will also change to view everything that happens to you as a miracle. So even everyday things, just a thank you or somebody treating you differently than they did before, that can be a miracle. And time is also elastic, so if you did not manage to complete your work, you can rest assured that you will have that opportunity in the future. Certain soul level connections that have to happen, it doesn't happen now, it will happen in the future. And that's all part of the quantum potentiality, and it has to align with one person's desires and another person's desires and the collective's desire. So, kept you guys listening for a long time.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm very grateful for each and every one of you, and I hope that even just anything that I've said today or anything will be able to help you out in your daily lives. Yeah?
Can I ask a quick question?
Mhm.
What are the things that, maybe some of the things that block you for that?
There's lots of things that can block your third eye. It can be, like we spoke about the programming. So if you have a program that doesn't believe in you having extrasensory perception, that can block your vision. It can be projections from others that you have no true knowledge, no true vision. That can block your third eye. It can be entity attachments. They can block your third eye. Calcification of the pineal gland, which calcification through the food that we eat, and
Fluoride also.
fluoride.
I've heard that fluoride is stuff
Selenium from TV.
What's that?
Selenium from TV.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and so there's lots of things in the energy field, lots of things in the physical field that can block our third eye. So we can just do the healing work. Like even just entangling with another person's energy, if like a lot of their energy is imprinting on you and they don't believe that the third eye can be activated, their third eye is blocked up, even that can be a source of it. Any other questions?
You stated that everyone can become a healer.
Mhm.
But what about awakening in this case? When the people feel that they can do this, or there are cases that they just think that they are able to heal, but in fact they are not. So if you can tell us something about awakening of the people.
So everyone can heal even if they're not aware of it, just by being present within ourselves. We have things within our DNA that activate others, that if we go to certain geographical locations, they can be activated within us, or it can activate the certain parts of the Earth's grid as well. So there's lots of different aspects to healing, and everyone can be a healer. However, if we do it consciously, on a conscious level, if we awaken to the reality of Earth, to what's really going on, to all the manipulation, to the system of domination and control, to how much we're being lied to and manipulated from so many different sources. If we awaken to that and consciously truly want to help this earth and truly want people to awaken to another type of reality, to reality where love is guiding every action, where we're always in tune with the divine and our soul self, then we're much more powerful as healers, and we're much more powerful as a collective, and we can do work on the collective consciousness, and we can co-create with others, and we can change the earth. We can transition into a 5D earth.
To add on to yours, I so the believing the awakening has to go with my experience right now. My awakening is happening now. I confirm that what he said we call the healer's confirmation for the last 3 churches weekends I've been coming. I was already thinking to myself, while I meditate, let me take off their energy while the healers are healing. To heal myself, that way I don't gotta run up, because I'm kind of like guy that don't, sometimes okay, I'm not gonna let someone else go. So that thought came into me. I'm not sure if I'm healing myself, but that is a confirmation as well as confirmation to my awakening. Like it's letting me know this is synchronicity with Judy, But it's about the experience of from speaking of my point of view, from what I've experienced. Because a lot of stuff he was saying is confirmation. He talked about visualizing, when you hear someone visualizing, and it dawned on me like that's actually how I think I healed the dog. I had a scenario where, I prayed upon the dog, and that's what made, I believe, was that extra, like just identifying better. By him saying that I pictured the dog good, the dog was good. While I was doing the thing, whatever, I was like, but that's, part of the awakening, it's part of believing too, like you say we know, we can think we're healing ourselves, but we're not. But we also have to believe the experience, feel the experience, really take off. I guess I don't know how to say whatever. Confirmation of what you hit me with today.
Thank you so much for saying this. Total confirmation for me as well.
For real, facts. Last night, some of the stuff you were saying, I was like, oh man, I just said that to myself.
We're all one. You're me, I'm you.
Can I share one? And also, with healers, we're just facilitators, and the person who's receiving the healing, they're the ones who are the healers, because they have that power within them. So no matter how many energy we send to them, if they are not ready to be healed, they're not gonna be healed.
Absolutely.
So it's an inner process,
Yeah.
We're just facilitating, allowing, like a midwife or